Aloha, this is Jason from Hawaii. Welcome to a special edition of the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. In this episode, I will be interviewing Jason Lowe, co-writer, artist for the Comixology Originals, The All-Nighter. Now, issue 3 just came out. Issue 4 comes out on Comixology on December 21st. I hope I'm getting all these dates correct. Issue 5 comes out on February 15th of 2022. And then the trade from Dark Horse is released literally the day after that on this, February 16th. Jason, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Just hanging in there.
Mhm.
Things have been like very chaotic, crazy busy. And I think I just working a full-time job somewhere else and
Yes.
then balancing about 3 comic projects right now.
Oh, okay.
And one of them is All-Nighter, and then like 2 of them are for a big publisher. Oh, I'll
What?
just say it's Marvel.
Yes, one I can talk about, and I'll get into it a little briefly because it was just released last week, Thursday. Yeah.
Uh,
I,
the Marvel one?
yeah, well, let me see which one it
Okay.
is. I'll go through your history first. So, okay, so your comic book history is, there's another Comixology Originals that you did with, now correct me if I'm wrong, with Chip Zdarsky, Afterlift, is that correct?
That's right.
And then that won the 2020 Eisner Award for the Best Digital Series. And
Woo!
also
Yes.
too, that series also won, now correct me if I'm wrong, the 2020 Joe Shuster Award for the Best Web Comics, Digital Comics, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, listeners, if you're interested, Afterlift is out in trade from Dark Horse. Now, I'm just going to give a brief summary of the story, and if you want to add something, that's fine too, Jason. Now, basically, I got this from Comixology, quote, rideshare driver Janice Chen picks up a pair of mysterious passengers who are pursued by otherworldly forces. Now, again, this is from that's from Comixology. And it's kind of like a science fiction horror genre story. Is that correct? Is that how?
Yeah. It touches a theme of life and death and like, are we good enough to make it into the good place?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a question I guess Janice, the main character, asks herself. And she's going through this wild ride into the afterlife to see if she's good enough to be in the good place.
Wow. Now you've got me interested. I want to pick that up. Okay. Sorry, Jason, I'm going to continue on. So also too, now you also did a series called Pitiful Human Lizard that came out in 2016. It was, now correct me if I'm wrong, it was a 22 issue series. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it debuted 2014 through Kickstarter, and then
Okay.
I self-published for the first 5 issues, and then I found a publisher, and that helped publish the other issues, and then I took the rights back and closed the entire series, wrapped it up.
And then and that was, now correct me if you co-create, did you co-create that with Allison O'Toole?
No, I did it all myself, but
Okay.
Allison O'Toole was she was my editor at the time since
Okay.
day one, and yeah, she's been our editor through the Comixology stuff, like
Yes.
Afterlife and the All-Nighter.
Okay. And then also too, that was nominated, now correct me if I'm wrong, is nominated, now was it in 2018, the Doug Wright Spotlight Award? Was that correct?
Yeah, I think it was 2018. Yeah,
Okay.
2017, 2018. Yeah.
Okay. Now we're getting to some of your current stuffs right now. Is that, I know you wrote a short story of Jubilee in the Marvel Voices, and that issue focused on Asian superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, coming out shortly is the Star Wars Adventures Annual of 2022.
Came out on Wednesday.
Okay, and then thank you. And then also and I think it's this month, December, Star Wars, the Galactic Bake Off Special, right? That's coming out.
That's coming. I think it comes out in January, but I did a cover for that, and but this month I did the art for. I'm one of the artists that contributed to the Star Wars High Republic Adventures annual.
Oh, okay.
And I illustrated a story told by Claudia Gray, who I'm a big fan of, especially as a Star Wars fan.
Yes, because she wrote that young adults novel, The Lost Star, that became,
yes.
I heard, not only just with young adults, but I mean, even with just adults like us, we enjoy, yeah, I have it. I haven't read it yet. I don't have time yet, but I will. Yeah.
I read the manga, and it's like reliving the saga in another point of view, and it's amazing.
That's pretty cool. All right. Now, this is just in time for the Disney Plus Hawkeye series, the newly released Infinity comic, Lucky the Pizza Dog, that is currently available out on Marvel Unlimited. Now, how did you get that cool assignment?
Well, out of the blue, Caitlin, the editor, O'Connell, she reached out to me, asking me if I'd be down for this. And the thing was, I think this was almost like a last minute decision that they wanted to do, and I guess they came to the right person, because I'm known to do fast turnarounds on things. And yeah, they asked me if I was willing to do it all, like write it, draw it out, and it's going to be a silent issue, but I get to throw some wingding word balloons here and there.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a fun 7 days. I think I got it done in 7 days.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, so that assignment is done. You said now you have some other works for you can't say right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, they were really impressed that they reached out to me and asked me to do more work for Marvel. And yeah, like we'll see if the news will come up. But I've been busy writing scripts for them already.
Nice. That is really nice. Okay. Now, did I miss anything?
Star Wars, Marvel, I was part of that Fantastic Four 60th anniversary issue where I did a 2-page spread where you're following each Fantastic Four member in an adventure against Mole Man and Giganto.
Yes.
And then they loved that. Actually, because the thing is, I prior to that, I did a Multiple Man short 7 years ago, which later Tom Brevoort found on Twitter, and he was like, "I gotta have this 2-page short in our books." And it's a Multiple Man issue where you're following, 3 threads of Multiple Man Dukes, like as he's pulling a mission, actually multiple missions. And so that's what pretty much got me some work with Marvel. And then Tom was like, "Why don't you do the same thing for Fantastic Four for the 60th anniversary?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll be so up for that." And my gears were running, and immediately was this typing ideas within like the first couple hours from the email.
That's so cool. Okay, now, before we get into the interview, I want to give a big shout out to Pamela Horvath. Pamela, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. She's from Superfan Promotions. Thank you, Pamela, for setting up this interview. Thank you very much, Pamela. I'm going to ask Jason, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, special thanks to Pamela and David Hyde, who's also part of Superfans. And also to Chip Zdarsky for if it weren't for him, I would not be in this position in comics right now, because things are just really picking up, and I he helped put a spotlight to my skills, I guess, to the world, and doors open for me because of him.
That's pretty cool. Now, if you guys get a chance, please check out Jason Lowe's other interview with John Suntress on the Word Balloon podcast. That came out on November 14th. I listened to that episode. That was a great episode. It really was.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Now, where can listeners follow you on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at rebel_LOO because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm contemplating on changing it to at Jason Lowe Makes Comics, which is my TikTok handle. But yeah, Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at rebel_Lowe for now. Before I decide to change it to Jason Lowe Makes Comics, which you can find me on TikTok.
Okay, all right. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the suburbs of Brampton and Mississauga, which are neighboring outside of Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much to say. Yeah, it's just an average childhood in a suburban city.
Yeah. So, and then, like, what was your, and not exactly, but like, what was the first comics you read? Like, was it a Batman comic? Was it a Spider-Man comic? Or if you know specifically what issue and so forth?
Yeah. Because, yeah, like, I used to get comics in the convenience store, like, whenever my parents needed to buy lottery tickets. So I would just browse to the newsstands when I was like, at an early age of 4 or 5. And I think like one of my early Batman comics, because I was always a big Batman fan, watching the syndicated Adam West series. So I think it was like the second appearance of Jason Todd, not knowing that, Jason Todd, that was his second appearance. It was just interesting to see like this, on the covers, like this old lady who's like leading these like band of like goons to attack Batman, and I was like, that's kind of wild. And then later finding out from my older cousins that this Robin, his name is Jason. I'm like, that's really cool because I always wanted to be a Robin, right?
Yeah.
Never had that fantasy? Yeah, that's just I could be a Robin.
That's pretty cool. I have to remember that when we get into the all-nighter. I have to remember that part. Now, I know you mentioned Chip Zdarsky kind of helped you, get in, give you your, your start in comics. So I'm going to ask, how did your journey into the comic book industry begin? And how did Chip play a role in it?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've always self-published my own mini comics since high school, and then like made some when I was in college, selling them at the cafeteria and stuff. And then when I graduated, when I studied in Sheridan College, or it's called the Sheridan Institute right now, I studied illustrations, and on a third year, we did co-op where we would do an internship. So I interned at Chip's old studio, RAID, which is the Royal Academy of Illustration and Design, which still stand to this day. But yeah, Chip was one of the 4 founding members. And that's where, like I was about 21 years old, just a 21-year-old intern, one of the first interns of that studio, like helping to flat out to flatten colors for his illustrations, because he was doing a lot of these at the time, like just children's educational books. This was way before he was like he was only doing comics on the side. And he worked full time at a newspaper, so once in a while I would even get like a couple of newspaper gigs through him, and Kagan McLeod, who was one of his studio mates. Kagan McLeod, who's currently working with Chip on Captura. So yeah, that was my early start with Chip. And then, when after I graduated, like I was making a bunch of like mini comics here and there, and then gave up, took a break, then went back into making comics in 2013, and that was The Pitiful Human Lizard. And when I was doing Pitiful Human Lizard, Chip at the time was, I guess he was working on Howard the Duck, and I guess he was just, keeping tabs on me from a distance, and always was supportive of, promoting my series, like through its 5-6 year run. And then when it was time for me to wrap it up, which was in 2019, he reached out to me out of the blue. And this was at the time when, like, I wrapped up The Pitiful Human Lizard because I was just feeling really down about the comic book industry and being like, I think I've done it all. Like, this is, like, I wrote and drew an entire superhero series on my own. And, and it was a series that, like, I thought I was content that it had a pretty good distribution around North America. It was nice to see, like, the series being sold in, like, Midtown Comics and stuff like that. But when I ended it, I was so down about comics, and then Chip brought me back up by asking me if I would be interested in being the artist for his one of his new comic projects, which turns out to be Afterlift. But he also warned me, saying that you're going to be drawing lots of cars, which I was not that familiar with, and I trained my butt off to be comfortable drawing cars freehanded, because I'm not really a technical artist. And he also, like, made me, like, the co-creator of this series too. So he allowed me to put input on the character designs.
Yes.
He, especially with All Nighter, like, he would ask me what I would feel like drawing, like, and he would also, like, he would give me, like, a very simple premise, and then I would just go to town by creating a cast of characters, and he would see which ones would work, and we would go from there.
Now, since you mentioned about the All-Nighter, now for our listeners, can you tell us what the story is about?
So the All-Nighter is about, so it's set in a world where superheroes are fictional. They're only seen on TV and movies. And this is in a world where monsters exist, like vampires and werewolves and so on. Even Frankenstein's monster.
Yes.
As you see it in issue 2. But they are in hiding. They are hiding in society because there's this pact that they made where they are not to interfere with human civilization, or else this group called the Seekers, this ominous group, will go after them and just eliminate them from existence. So in this world, we're following this newfound family of vampires from different generations. And they're in hiding, running an all-night diner called the All Nighter. And one of them, his name is Alex, who's a big superhero fan, decides to become a superhero and uses some of his vampire traits, his vampire skills, to enhance his vigilantism. And that catches some unwanted attention, and also his roommate, who also works with him at the diner, Joy. She becomes his sidekick, and they go on these adventures, but they're really kind of breaking the rules, even though they found this loophole, like, where they're dressed up as superheroes. Other monsters are taking note of what they're doing, and they're like, okay, wait, if they can get away with doing this. Like, we can do the same. And this is where all these monsters come out from the dark
Yes.
and try to terrorize the humans.
Okay. Now, this is an off-the-cuff question because I'm kind of going back to how your cousin told you about Robin was, Jason Todd. And I also noticed that, I thought it was pretty cool that Alex is Asian. So is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to ask more specifically Chinese. Is that correct? Or is it just
Alex is, he's Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, but I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm going to ask, did you kind of model Alex after yourself? Like, I've always wanted to be like kind of a superhero. I would, like you said, you want to be Robin, I'm just asking.
Well, I mean, I can see the similarities. The thing is like, for any type of series that I'm going to be co-creator of, like, I want to make sure the lead character is Asian, because I think it's just important to have more stronger Asian characters, just like in Afterlife. So that like, he was like one of the first characters that I just designed, and I actually was looking at he was actually modeled off of like just going through like just K-pop artists, and I was just trying to find like the right hair and stuff. But the thing is, like the messy but still fashionably cool kind of mod here that some K-pop artists would rock.
Yes.
So it's something that he could still have underneath that mask. So that's what I pretty much modeled him after. But it's funny because like, I worked on a series like Pitiful Young Lizard, which is an offbeat, aspiring superhero, and one of Chip's early comics was called Monster Cops, which was about these like kind of like the Universal monsters. What if they were cops? Like werewolf, Dracula, Frankenstein, and a mutual friend of me and Chip like noticed his observation of like saying, like All Nighter sounds like, what if the Human Lizard was like Monster Cops in a way? It's like, it pretty much is.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going back to the Word Balloon interview that you did. Because now, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you pitched this story to Chip because Chip asked you, what would you like to do next? Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm just asking, where did this idea come from? Like, was it inspired by books, movies? And I'm being serious about this. And you saw my notes, like, or was it like you were sitting at a diner, one night, and you're kind of going, it'd be interesting,
Yeah. So, I mean, Chip asked me what I feel like drawing, and then so that's like how we start. And so we had a meeting like right after we finished Afterlife. We had a meeting about discussing our next project. So beforehand, I wrote like about like 3 to 5 different ideas, and so one of them was vampires, like this broken family of vampires that ran an all-night diner, and their diner was used as refuge for other vampires, and they would be in hiding. They're like good vampires that don't want to kill if they don't have to. And they would find other ways to survive, other ways to like to find their sources of blood. And so like I was aiming to like just want to tell like a good comedy drama story that felt grounded, but like the adding the vampires part was added the cool factor to it, and I think I wanted to add kind of like this this outsider perspective, like like kind of similar to like immigrants that run a business type of
Yes,
thing.
yes, yeah.
Like they're second class citizens, and so that's what it mainly was. And I also told Chip that I didn't want to, like, I'm fine not doing vampires. I mean, no, I'm fine not doing superheroes.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay,
I'm
yeah.
fine not to, because I think I already had my fun and spin with Pitiful Human Lizard. So let's not do superheroes. And so he took that idea, and then he wrote down a 5-issue plot outline, and then he was like, "Okay, sorry, Jason, but we're gonna add superheroes into this," and I was like, "Darn it!" But then when I started reading his outline from issues 1 to 5, what he had planned out, I was like, you know what? It does make it a bit more interesting,
Hmm.
and he actually made me enjoy working on superheroes again. And
Yes.
here I am, like this trying to create like this Batman Year One vibe in
Yeah, that's
in
right.
this story.
Hmm. I want to touch upon Alex's costume.
Yeah,
How did you come up with that design? Because when I look at him, going, it looks similar, or there's a
yeah,
vibe to it.
yeah. So yeah, and that's the thing about superheroes is like when you're creating superhero identities, and especially when all these monster characters are coming out of the woodwork, you have to come up with like, okay, they have to, like, you have to measure like their creativity of how they're going to brand themselves. So Alex, who's a big comic nerd, like obviously he's going to be leaning closer to superhero comics that we're familiar with,
Hmm.
and so like definitely kind of like a Batman vibe, but definitely not based on a bat or an animal. Uh, there was about like 12 or 13
Hmm.
designs that I made before I settled on something on the right one, and I was like, yeah, I think this is like the last design was like, yeah, this is what we're going for,
Hmm.
and yeah, like Alex, he's like a big uh like comic nerd, like, and very extra to that. He would also have like an extra layer of cape. So he has like the
Oh,
purple cape over the black cape, and it just
uh-huh.
adds this nice texture, this nice layer to it.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, to our listeners, the All Nighter trade will be in stores on February 16th, 2022. The preview code for that is OCT2110223. Now, Jason, I know you guys have completed season 1 already.
Hmm.
When will the All Nighter season 2 come out?
Well, I'm like actually drawing halfway through season 2.
Mhm.
Uh, so like hopefully it'll be. Well, we're hoping that the next season will come out fall of next year. It
Oh, okay.
seems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, like everything's is in the works. Like I'm already working on like just finishing up issue
Mhm.
number 7,
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
and then next month I'm gonna have the script for issue number 8, and then it's go time.
Okay, so I'm gonna start slowly wrapping this up, Jason. So I know Mississauga is the neighboring city next to Toronto.
Mississauga.
Mississauga, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mississauga, sorry. So, and I know that you work in a library in Toronto, and you coordinate something called MCX, and I'm going to try to pronounce the name, Mississauga Comic Expo. Is that correct?
The Mississauga Comic Expo. Yeah, for the Mississauga Library.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask, can you tell the listeners what is the expo about?
So the Mississauga Comic Expo is a nonprofit organization that celebrates just fan culture. And what we're trying to do is celebrate local talent around the greater Toronto area,
Hmm.
like around Mississauga, because we've got like so many talented artists.
Yes.
And like the early years when we hosted the event, like we have like some of our guests, like some of our early guests were like Pierce Aline, who's now the colorist for Afterlife and All Nighter, and he's working on Black Panther Legends for Marvel right now. And Jamal Campbell was also one of our early guests, who's he's done amazing things with DC with Far Sector and Naomi.
Hmm.
Um, and then it started to grow, and you know and thanks to me having a lot of great connections in the comic book industry, we were able to get people like Ryan North and Chip Zdarsky. Who else have we had in the past? Um, well, I can tell you who we've also had when we had to move digitally, because
Oh yeah.
during the pandemic, like we try to offer the same kind of experience where fans can really engage with comic creators and ask them, how do you do it, like how do you make the comics. So that's what we try to build on. So when we were doing virtually, like the first time we went virtually, um, we got Steens, aka Iron Spike. We got Sam Meggs. We also got Stephanie Cook.
Hmm.
Who else? Oh, Ryan North again, Ho Chi Anderson,
Oh,
uh, and a bunch of Aminder Dhaliwal, uh, a bunch of people that also like live in states that we don't have to buy a
yeah.
flight ticket and hotel. Like
Yes.
we are able to like broadcast an interview with them, just like right now,
Yeah.
but through the MCX banner.
That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm just asking, what was some of the cool things that happened at the expo? Like, did you ever see a Giant Size X-Men #1 come across the table, or a cool fan moment, a cosplay moment, anything?
Oh, like the most awesome thing that happened, like in Mississauga Comics,
Yes,
no, the Mississauga
at the
Comic
expo.
Expo, or just in like Fan Expo.
Oh no, just the Mississauga Comic Expo. If anything,
Oh, okay. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like the Mississauga Comic Expo, it's still pretty small, and it's a small growing event that's actually run through the Mississauga library system. But one of the cool things that we actually got to have was uh, I was able to uh, connect with actor and comic writer Jay Baruchel, the actor from like This Is the End and Knocked Up and what was that other Man Seeking Woman?
mm-hmm.
Because he was also promoting his comic at the time too. So yeah, we I was just happy that we actually got to bring like a movie star who
Yeah.
also does comics,
Mhm.
because our main focus is comics, but
Yes.
the fact that like he also does movies, it brought a lot of attention. And to see like the lineup of fans, the spectrum of fans that are both comic fans and people that love like How to Train Your Dragon, like the
Mhm.
kids that wanted to meet him. It was just awesome to see that kind of attention. And I think that was where like our events uh like really grew
Mhm.
and got people's attention.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so Jason, like I said, I'm sorry, I'm slowly wrapping things up. Have you and your girlfriend, or you and your family, have you guys been to Hawaii?
No, I would like to. I would love to.
Mhm. I'm
Neither
gonna
of
let you
us
know
have.
we have comic book conventions. I'm hoping a local comic comic book organizer is listening to this when we post this. So we'll see. Okay.
Yes, please invite me, and hopefully, like by that time, we'll have more stuff to promote. That I can draw like a bigger name for myself besides Marvel and Star Wars.
Any closing words to our listeners?
Yeah, I hope you guys have subscribed to All Nighter if you haven't already. And if you have and you're enjoying it, trust me, it gets better and better. Just wait until issue number 5. It's gonna blow your mind, and you're gonna be wanting more, and we're gonna deliver more, more fun, monster fun.
Okay, so Jason, I wish you all the success with the All Nighter, and also with Lucky the Pizza Dog, the Infinity comic, and also your future works, right now that you can't mention. So I wish you all the success. And mahalo, thank you in Hawaiian. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you. So, I also want to thank Pam of Superfan Promotions for help setting up this interview. So, and also, if you are a new comic book fan or a lifelong comic book fan, please check out the All Nighter, a Comixology Originals. It's of course on Comixology. I've read the first 2 issues. I love it, and like Jason mentioned, it's very grounded. That's the thing I love about it. And I love how Alex was telling, I believe was it Pam, his sidekick?
Oh, Joy.
I'm sorry, Joy. That he wants to be more than just a cook and a little more than a vampire. He wants to do something more, and that's great. I love it. And then I read issue 2, and those last 2 pages, while talking to him, going, "Oh wow, now the stakes are getting bigger." Not just, hey, we're gonna bust up this drug ring. It's getting crazier, but I love it. But also, if you're waiting for the trade to come out from Dark Horse, it'll be in stores on February 16, 2022. The previews code is OCT2110223. And also check out the Marvel Unlimited Infinity Comics Lucky the Pizza Dog that is out now right now. Now, I also want to thank Drew, the host of Comics for Fun and Profit, for putting this episode together. Drew, thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes. And if you are a new listener, please check out new episodes of Comics for Fun and Profit that comes out every Saturday. And I want to thank you, the listeners. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, guys, aloha.